Hello guys and welcome to my YouTube channel. It's your favorite midwife again. And in today's video, I would be talking about Rhesus incompatibility. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen with you like I did in the other video for better understanding of the topic. It's a very crucial topic that needs maximum concentration, that needs maximum attention. Okay, in fact, it's the #1 killer of and causative agent to abnormality during childbirth, death of child stillborn, and disorders during pregnancy. So it's really very important. Okay, it can never be overemphasized because it's very important that we know our Rhesus factor, right? Okay, so Rhesus incompatibility or Rhesus disease. Yeah, so but before I proceed, I would like to request that you please subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the subscribe button and also hit the notification button so you would be informed and notified for when I release subsequent videos. As we go along, if you have any question, any confusion, do please leave question or your comments at the comment section. I will be reading and responding to them. Okay. All right. So let's go on and straight into the topic and further discussion. So now remember, this is through Zoom and lots of subtopics, just like my other videos. Okay, so take your notepad, take your biro, your pencil, and jot down so you learn. For expectant mothers, for new families, this is a video for you. It is not only restricted to women alone, including men, okay? Just in case your wife or your partner is not aware of some of these things, you could actually bring it to her knowledge. Yeah, that's the importance of having knowledge and sharing it will make the world a better place. Okay. All right, so let's get down to business. Rhesus incompatibility. Subtitles to be discussed. We have the Rhesus incompatibility itself, what it is, and then Rhesus incompatibility signs and symptoms. We have what happens when a Rhesus negative woman conceives. We'll also talk about complications of Rhesus incompatibility. Lastly, we will talk about how to prevent and manage the Rhesus incompatibility. Yeah, so these are the topics to be discussed. Now, remember, this is just basic knowledge about the Rhesus incompatibility. It shouldn't be the only thing you would need. You would also need to visit your healthcare provider, okay, prior to conception, during pregnancy, after delivery, okay? Yep. Okay, so now what is Rhesus incompatibility? So Rhesus incompatibility only occurs when a woman who is Rhesus negative becomes pregnant with a child of a Rhesus positive blood. Okay, so in our blood group, we have Rhesus factor D. Okay, so it's either that sign you see, either a plus or a minus sign. That is what shows whether a woman has Rhesus factor negative or Rhesus positive factor. Okay, so in this picture here, we see the Rhesus negative blood cell from the mother, okay, which is shown by the minus sign. And we have the Rhesus positive blood cell of the baby, which is shown by a plus sign. Okay, so now that is the simple description of what the Rhesus sign is in the actual sense. Okay, so now we'll go back to our discussion. And then if a woman has negative and a child has positive, okay, now when there is delivery and the woman doesn't take the necessary management or precautionary measures that she should take, there is usually an inflow of the blood from the child into the mother's bloodstream via the placenta. Now, this occurs during delivery. And from that inflow of the child's blood into the mother's blood, it causes some antibodies to be produced by the mother, thereby preparing to fight any other positive rhesus factor coming into her body, thereby causing lots of damage during next conception. Okay, so that is what the term incompatibility means, rhesus incompatibility. Okay, it leads to lots of disadvantages. It can lead to stillborn, disorders, complications, loss of the child. Okay, so let's always try to prevent it. Yeah, just in case there are some terminologies that I use here that you find quite big, you can always leave a question about it in the comment section and I would respond to it. Please try to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the videos that I make. Okay, guys? Yeah, you're not paying for subscription. Subscription is totally free. Okay. All right, so the next one, which is rhesus incompatibility, signs and symptoms. So the yellow amniotic fluid, okay, the signs and symptoms that we would notice for a woman that is suffering from rhesus incompatibility, a pregnant woman suffering from rhesus incompatibility, okay? So the first thing we'd notice is yellow amniotic fluid, okay? Now the fluid is usually the fluid, the water. Amniotic fluid is the, the sac that contains the fluid where the baby in utero like swims or stays, okay, before delivery. All right, so now the reason why this would be yellowish in coloration would be because of the production of bilirubin. Okay, now this only occurs when there is rapid breakdown of blood cells because there is serious war already, but this is from the subsequent pregnancy. Remember, rhesus incompatibility occurs from subsequent pregnancies. First pregnancy might not really suffer from rhesus incompatibility because there hasn't been a breakage in the barrier. Okay, so always bear that in mind. So now, because there has been a break in the barrier and the blood is already in the mother's bloodstream and has produced antibodies that will fight against subsequent pregnancies, there would be rapid breakdown of blood cells by the fetus, thereby releasing bilirubin and causing the discoloration, yellowish discoloration of the amniotic fluid. This is a major sign. Then next is jaundice, okay, which is the skin and the whites of the baby's eyes will appear yellower than average. That's if the child is finally born, which most times is going to be premature delivery. Okay, that's another sign that we should look out for. The next is heart failure. Remember I said that rhesus incompatibility can lead to lots of disorders and damage of the system and organs of the baby. Yes, so one of the organs that can actually be damaged is the heart, which is heart failure. Yeah, and then next we have enlarged organs, like I earlier mentioned, which is also known as hydrops fetalis, okay? Enlargement of the stomach, the liver, the heart, the spleen, the lungs, all of these organs may be swollen, okay? Next is pale skin because of anemia, okay? Remember already the cells of the blood cells of this fetus has been breaking right from the uterus until he or she is born. Now, when this child is now finally born, he or she would have lost a lot of blood during the process of fight for survival in the mother's womb. Okay, so this child would definitely be pale as a result of anemia, as a result of loss of blood, insufficient blood. Yeah, and then next we have fast breathing. And then next again, we have fast heart rate. We have swelling under the baby's skin. We have lethargy. We have chenodeictors. Now, this remains a very severe state of too much bilirubin in the body. Now, this thing can even lead to baby's brain damage. Okay, so we see this thing is not even, this topic is not something you would joke with. It's something that's really very important. Okay, yes. And then next we'll proceed down to this. I'm trying to make this video as brief, as short as possible. It's a very broad topic, but like I said, it's just for you to gain the basic knowledge about Rhesus incompatibility, know the dangers, and how to protect yourself and your family from this very deadly problem. Okay. Right, the next is what happens when a Rhesus negative woman conceives. Okay, so now this diagram will show us the first thing that happens during the first pregnancy. In the first pregnancy, we see that the fetus in utero, that's in the mother's womb, okay, is having a normal blood, having this triangular blood as to represent the child. And then we see the mother also using the dot circle to represent her own blood. Now we see that there hasn't been any inflow into the mother stream. So therefore there is no Rhesus incompatibility in the first pregnancy. Okay, so everything is still intact. But as we move on now, during childbirth, for the second and the middle diagram, picture, illustration, we see that during childbirth, there is actually an inflow of the baby's blood into the mother's bloodstream. This happens when during delivery. So the placenta being detached, when it's been detached from the walls of the uterus, that causes some little breakage in the barrier. So there is an inflow from the baby's bloodstream into the mother's bloodstream. And here we see the baby's bloodstream, the baby's blood cells mixing with that of the mother in her bloodstream during childbirth. Now, at this stage, Rhesus incompatibility is beginning to be established. Okay, however, it wouldn't affect the child being born at that time. Then we move again to the last diagram. Now, this last diagram shows when this mother, same mother, is down with Rhesus incompatibility and is pregnant for the second pregnancy. Now, we'll see that there is an antibody already that has been formed by the mother. Now, remember, I earlier said that if there is an inflow of the blood from the child carrying positive, Rhesus positive into the bloodstream of a mother who is Rhesus negative, the bloodstream of the mother produces antibodies that would fight off any other positive, Rhesus positive blood that would come into her body. So now this is exactly what is happening here. And we see this Y-shaped blood there in the mother stream flowing into that of the child. Now, this is where Rhesus incompatibility is fully established. And this would only happen because the mother did not take precautionary measures. She didn't take the injection she was supposed to take and all the necessary things she was supposed to do to prevent further damage, to prevent this damage that we see and we would learn more about. Okay. So as there is an inflow from the bloodstream of the mother, antibodies flowing into that of the child. Now, the positive blood, Rhesus positive blood of the child becomes a threat to the mother's bloodstream, and the antibodies from the mother's bloodstream goes in to fight the fetus in the mother's womb. So that is where you begin to see all those symptoms I mentioned, the yellowish discoloration of the amniotic fluid as a result of breakdown of blood cells by the child. And that is when we would also see heart failure, we see so many disorders. All of this is as a result of this Rhesus incompatibility. So we now see from this diagram what happens when a woman conceives with a child with positive, Rhesus positive blood cell, okay, or blood group rather. Yeah, so this is what happens. However, if this woman conceives, if the subsequent pregnancy she conceives and the child carries a Rhesus negative factor, there wouldn't be any incompatibility because there wouldn't be any threatening blood for the antibody by the mother to fight off. Okay, and that is why some people go with this unnoticed for years, that it is passed down from generation to generation. And we see a lot of women giving birth to stillborn preterm and the child dies, you know. So these are the important things that we need to take note of. Okay, please still try and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and if you're just joining us, please do subscribe. It's very important that you understand this topic. Okay, if you're a young girl, if you're a nurse, if you're a nursing student, if you're a midwife student, just try subscribe. This would really help you understand how to help your clients when they visit your facility. Okay, so now let's go to the next subtopic to be discussed today, and it is complications of Rhesus incompatibility. Okay, so we have lots of complications. I have only listed a few, but trust me, it goes way more than this. Okay, so the first one is early pregnancy and complications. Yes, okay. Next is injury to the stomach area during pregnancy. Of course, because the stomach would be so swollen and tender. At that time, anything can cause injury to the stomach area. Yeah. Next is bleeding during pregnancy. Because at that time, there is rapid breakdown of the red blood cells, and just many complications that could come up. And this bleeding during pregnancy is what would even lead to preterm delivery, which brings us to the next complication of Rhesus incompatibility, preterm delivery. Next, we have anemia. I've already mentioned this one before. And the next one is jaundice. The next one is enlarged organs, otherwise known as hydrops fetalis. I also mentioned this as some of the signs and symptoms of what could occur, you know, and how you know that this is Rhesus incompatibility. Like, this can only be the work of Rhesus incompatibility. And the last one, which is kernicterus, which is also, you know, as a result of bilirubin in the blood leading into the brain and causing brain damage. Okay, so this thing I didn't even mention heart failure. There's usually heart failure, there's usually enlarged liver and spleen, which could also lead to the damage of these organs. I didn't even mention stillbirth. Okay, I didn't mention those things just to try not to scare you people, but trust me, you should be really concerned for your health and that of your child if you haven't really known your Rhesus factor sign, either positive or negative. And if it's negative, there is nothing wrong and there is no problem. You are not abnormal. You are still normal. You just need to take some precautionary measures to have a healthy and a safe delivery and a healthy child. Okay, yes, and so the last part, which is how to prevent and manage the Rhesus incompatibility. Yeah, so the first would be to always receive your Rhesus immunoglobulin. Okay, it's actually an injection that you're supposed to take before pregnancy, during pregnancy, and after pregnancy. Okay, this would inhibit the production of antibodies. No, okay, but make sure you discuss with your healthcare provider before you take any of this. Like I said, this video only talks about the basic knowledge. This is me trying to share the basic knowledge that I have with you people, and I've also made some research. So it's not just me talking from my own experience alone. It's me talking from knowledge acquired and research done. Okay. Yeah, so it prevents the person's immune system from recognizing the Rhesus D. Okay, so that's the importance of this Rhesus immune.